Our HK office, and here are ingredients that we talked about. So this is a wheat flour. The protein content is relatively low, or very similar to like udon, what we use for udon noodles. And this is tapioca starch, and it's like 5% to the total weight of flour. And then this is so these are the solid ingredients, these two, and this is a 4 kilogram batch of 4 kilograms, and this is water, salt, and it's a lot of salt actually, but like this is just a 3% to the total solid weight. So, and then this is 42% hydration. 42% inside 42%, we're gonna add 3% of salt in it. So the actual amount of water is actually 42 minus 3, so like 39% to the weight of flour. So you can do the math. So we are making just a dough first, like in this mixer. This is a 10 kilograms mixer. That means that the maximum batch that you can do this mixer is just 10 kilograms of solid flour, and on top of that you're adding liquid to it. So for example, like if it's 42% liquid, you can add 4.2 kilograms of liquid to the 10 kilograms of flour. So you're getting about 14 kilograms of dough at the time from this mixer. Okay, so let's first mix it for 4 minutes. But we'll just add just around like 2/3 of the liquid first, and then you see like how the liquid is like dripping through the small holes, and it just adds the liquid like little by little to the flour to sort of like render facilitate the good hydration. Yeah, we can keep watching it, but like we don't have that much time, so let's start the next process. So you can see that Megumi like prepared this dough right in advance, and then, so that's how you do the first resting. So putting it in a plastic bag and letting it sit at room temperature for maybe like an hour. Look at the size of the dough. Like that's pretty big actually for this to be handled like in this this like ramen machine, because ramen noodle making machine is like designed to do ramen noodles that are typically low in hydration. It's a dry noodle, like which means that like the noodles are hard in texture. So this type of machine is not really, I mean, expecting to do this type of noodles that are like very soft, and so it's rather like difficult for this type of machine to handle this type of noodles, this type of dough that's high in water content, hydration. But you can still make it. You can still make it in noodles. So in fact, you can make pasta that's high in hydration. You can make like udon noodles, which is typically high in hydration. and of course like tsukemen noodle, dipping noodles as well. So what she's doing is that like she's feeding dough into a set of rollers and to make rough sheet of dough. Rough sheet of dough means, it's still, I mean, it's pretty weak. I mean, you can tear it apart like pretty easily, but it's a start. And so we're just forming the sheet of dough first from the crumbles of dough. But for the first rounds of this sheeting process, we want to go slow because we want to apply good pressure into the dough. So if it's the dough is like low in hydration, like tonkotsu noodles, like thin and hard noodles, then that like a condition of dough is like it's very powdery. It's very powdery. It's almost like there's no liquid added to it. Almost like a dry flour, but like that's a kind of dough. This machine, this type of machine is like very good at processing. And because this machine is equipped with big rollers that are designed to process that kind of like hard dough. So it's, but this type of dough is not really isn't really like what this machine is good at like doing, but some, I mean, like high hydration dough is made. I mean, the noodles made on this type of machine is actually very good as well. Very good in texture, like tastes very good. So it's just that like you need to like kind of get used to it, like get used to like how you need to handle this type of dough, this kind of machine. And so you need a little bit more probably practice to make these kind of noodles on this kind of machine than making such noodles as like kind of low hydration noodles, medium hydration noodles. So it's gone through the first sheeting process called rough forming. So that's a pretty weak sheet of dough, but we're gonna separate it into two separate sheets of dough and then putting them together through the rollers and to make them firm. So the dough that's coming out, if you can see the surface of it, like it's very smooth and it's definitely stronger. So it's almost like doubling them, like kind of making layers of making two layers of dough, and feeding them into the rollers. That's whose clearances are set to the certain thickness. So we combine them, right? We combine them like once, but we want to do it twice to make it further for the form. And then because that in a way, like it still kind of like helps like develop like gluten structure inside dough as well. So we set the so from second combining process, after the dough is going through like second combining process, we want to start dusting it. We'll start dusting it because like from this point on, we don't want it to stick together. We don't want them to stick together. So we want to dust it, and because it's like it's very sticky because it's soft, like it's very wet. So we want to dust like good amount of like powder, good amount of flour on it to make sure that it wouldn't stick. So after the second combine process, right, what we have to do is just thin it to the final thickness. But we can't thin it like drastically at once. We need to like thin it gradually. Otherwise, that would just kind of damage the gluten structure inside dough. So we want to go gradually thin it. So we are thinning it for the second time, and they're going faster. Can you see we're going faster? So after like second combine process, like we wanted to go slow because we wanted to apply like really good pressure by going slow. But like after that, the gluten structure inside dough is like kind of complete, so we can go faster in this sheeting process. Okay, so I think we can start cutting it. So the kind of cutter that we use to make noodle strands is this kind of cutter that looks like paper shredder, and you see the grooves. So each groove is actually in this cutter like it's 3 millimeter in width. So the sheet of doughs fit to the cutter and comes out like noodle strands. And each of the noodle strands is going to be like 3 millimeter in width. The thickness is we adjust by the roll-up gap. So we're gonna cutting it, and then so she just mounted the duster like over the conveyor to apply dusting onto the noodles that are coming out. Okay, so noodles are coming now, and you can very easily change the serving size. The serving size is basically dominated by the length of the noodles, and then you can easily adjust the length of the noodle shorter to make it smaller serving, to longer to make it bigger serving. And as you can see, that this is, as we talk about, like Kagutsu noodles are typically flat. It may be because the soup of the Kagutsu is typically light in taste, right? So I think the surface, like flat surface, because the flat surface like gives you like kind of, larger areas that hold soup, more soup. So that may be what. Okay, so what we want to show you is that we use like Kagutsu noodles are high in hydration ratio. So we want to show you the how we make them on udon machine. Make an udon machine. So udon machine, this type of machine like we call udon machine, and then this is designed to do high hydration noodles. And this is also like only one machine that like you can make everything from scratch. But like high in hydration, like hydration we're talking about would be like over 45%. So you can see that like the size of the chunks of noodles, like chunks of dough are even bigger and even softer than the dough we just did. And this is 52% hydration ratio dough. It's very, see, like it's very white. And then what she's doing now is that like we're pressing it. We're pressing the dough in a press machine. And so this press machine actually mimics the design to mimic the like a foot stomping of the dough, which is actually still like done by like some of the udon shops that we have in here in Kagawa, and you know, of course, like there's some like protective layer of the sheet like over the dough. You know, it's like the feet like do not touch like directly the dough, but like but people still do it that way, like here. And then this device, the presser, mimics the job of like foot pressing. And then, so she folded it inwards, and then press it again. Because this pressing machine is like very convenient, because if you do that manually, you have to do it like thoroughly. So it takes your time, energy. So it's very convenient to use this type of device to press it. And in a way, it's actually helping to develop the gluten structure inside dough as well. At the same time, it's making firm. So we usually do it like 3 to 5 times, depending on the condition of the dough. And the reason why we have separate machines for, you know, udon noodles, like because this machine is capable of like making certain types of ramen noodles as well. So why we have like separate machines for example, if you do the ramen noodles like on this machine, right? Is that like the texture of the noodles are different. So it's soft. It's like it's high hydration noodles. Like it's the softer side. It's on the softer side, but like it's chewier, and um, it's more elastic. It's very different from the or even like high hydration ramen noodles that you made on the ramen machine. It's different. Like noodle texture is different. And of course, like udon noodles that are made on ramen machines, the noodle texture is different from the udon noodles made on this udon machine. So she's dividing into few pieces to put it into the aging machine. So we have to rest it. We have to rest the dough at actually 18 degrees Celsius for overnight. And so we can't wait for one night. So she prepared the dough yesterday, and so it's like it's been rested overnight. So it looks delicious, you know. And then so she's going to process it into noodles. So as I said, like Kagutsu noodles are very similar to udon noodles, and I think noodles made, like Kagutsu noodles made on this udon machine is, I think, closer to the authentic Kagutsu noodles than you know, Kagutsu noodles we just made on the ramen machine. Yes, this machine, this roller part, this sheeting device, is designed to kind of mimic the hand noodle making, especially like in the terms like sheeting part, because the rollers that are used in this device are small, like in diameter, right? So that doesn't like apply like too much pressure, and so like that pressure, the amount of pressure that's being added to the dough is like similar to the pressure, the noodle master, the human being, like would be applying to the dough. So that's why this machine is probably noodles that are made on this machine are probably closer kind of quality, like texture, to the authentic Kagutsu noodles that are made by hand. So the noodles are thinned little by little, right? And if you can check the number here, numbers that are displayed here. You can check the numbers that are displayed here. What's showing is that like it's the thickness that's going through the sensor of the that are set like being rolled, like the thickness of the dough like being sheeted. Right now it's showing like 5.6 millimeter, 4.9 millimeter. So you can see, like you can actually see how thick the noodle dough is by looking at the display. So it's getting thinner and thinner, right? And so I think it's reached the final thickness. So because it's too large, right? It's 5.0 millimeter thickness doubled. So each sheet should be 2.5 millimeter in thickness. And so it's too large, right, for the cutter. So we need to fold it. We need to fold it to make it fit to the cutter. And unlike the cutter we saw, like that are, that's used in the ramen machine, this machine uses a cutter that's kind of like a knife kind of shape cutter. So that's more like hand making. That's more of the cutter that's using hand making. So that's another reason that I'm saying, the noodles that are made on this machine are more authentic. The noodles are being cut, right? And each noodle strands is like being dropped into a sheet tray that's moving side to side, moving from side to side, and like kind of collecting the noodles being dropped from the top. That way, this tray is kind of lining up each of the noodle strands like nicely. Okay, so voila, that's a Kagutsu noodle, like they're more authentic than Kagutsu noodles made on a ramen machine. But of course, like Kagutsu noodles made on the ramen machine are also very good as well. They're just different in terms like noodle texture. Okay, so these are freshly made authentic Kagutsu noodles. Okay, so before we go to the kitchen, so So these are also like kagutsu no like prepared. Ah, sorry. So like kinako needed, like roasted like soy powder, kinako. Some of the actual kagutsu dishes like use this type of noodles as well. Kinako needed. I can actually smell the flavor of kinako. Okay, let's move. Kinako is like usually used for it's like a Japanese snack sweets, and it has like very kind of sweet like flavor, and then it's very good. And the color is like kind of slight and subtle. It's very good. All right, let's go to a kitchen.
My name is Thomas. I'm one of the instructors at the Yamato Noodle School. And today I'll be showing you how to make Kaguksu noodle. This is not my field, but I'll be showing you our take, Yamato's take on Kaguksu. And we're gonna be so today we'll be making seafood Kaguksu. So the ingredients we're gonna be using are, first of all, clam, and for the vegetables we have sliced leek, sliced potato, zucchini, carrots, and green bell pepper. And for the noodles, it's the Kaguksu noodles with some soy powder in it. And for the seasoning, it's very simple. We have mirin, light soy sauce, salt, and some garlic. Okay. And for the dashi, we're going to use kelp and sardine dashi. Okay. So these are the ingredients we're going to be using for the Kaguksu. So let's get going. First, I'm just going to be making one portion today. So I'll be taking 500 grams of this dashi, dry sardines and kelp dashi. Good. So we got the dashi, 500 grams. And first thing we're going to do is season the dashi. So I'm going to heat up the dashi and add in the light soy sauce, 15 grams. We use light soy sauce because I want to keep that color light. I don't want it to make it like soy sauce color. So I want to keep that dashi color as much as possible. So I'm using light soy sauce. And I'm going to add in that sweetness with the mirin. And some salt. And lastly, a little bit of garlic. And I'm going to mix the dashi, and I'm going to add in potato slices. Because this is going to take the longest to cook, so I'm just going to put this in first. And I'm just going to wait for that dashi to boil. So dashi started boiling. So I'm just gonna lower the heat, and I'm just gonna add in the rest of the vegetables. So zucchini, sliced leeks, green bell pepper, and some carrots. And I'm going to wait for the dashi to boil again. And then we're going to add in the noodles. And the biggest difference between Kalguksu and all the other noodle dishes, like pasta, ramen, udon, soba, is that for Kalguksu, you boil and cook the noodles in the dashi. So most noodle dishes, you usually boil the noodles in different boiling water, but for Kalguksu, the noodles goes directly into the dashi. So this is going to allow the noodle to soak up the tasty dashi, and also the noodles, the starch from the noodles is going to lightly thicken the sauce. So it's going to be, the dashi will be picked up more when you're eating it. Okay, once the dashi starts boiling again, now I'm going to add in the clam. This goes in last because you don't want to overcook the clam. So you put in the clams and just lightly mix. And I'm going to simmer it for maybe 2 to 3 minutes. So we're fully cooking the noodles and also extracting flavor from the vegetables and umami from the clams. The noodles will like nicely soak up the dashi as well. And the dashi is a lot thicker than the beginning because of the starch from the noodles. Maybe 1 more minute, less than a minute, like 30 seconds. Clams should start to open up. Okay, I think it should be ready now. So I'm going to plate it to this bowl. And first I like to take the noodles. So try to take all the noodles first. And then next, dashi. And lastly, the toppings in the middle. And lastly, going to put some thinly sliced leek on top. And on top of the leek, I'm going to put some thinly sliced chili pepper for a nice red. Okay, so I'm going to serve it with kimchi as well. So this is our take, Yamato's take on Kalguksu. Seafood Kalguksu. Oh, we have a question if the dashi is anchovy dashi. Yes, it's anchovies and kelp. So what I did was I soaked the anchovies, dry anchovies and kelp in the water for over a day, overnight, and then I heat it up until it's 60 degrees. Now it's cooled down, but I heat it up to 60 degrees to extract all the umami, but never boil that anchovy and kelp dashi because that's gonna extract all the bitterness as well. So try to just keep it, try to not to go over 60 degrees. Okay.